Hello all, and welcome to our Toolbox Talk on supporting menopause at work. You should all be able to see the PowerPoint. Please wave your hand or raise your hand if you have any questions throughout, but there will be some time at the end for questions, or if you can't see anything or you've got any questions, yeah, just give us a shout. I'll give it a few minutes in case anyone else wants to drop on. So we've done a Toolbox talk covering this before, and I also did a webinar as well. Not a lot has changed really in regards to legislation, but I think it will be in the pipeline, possibly with the Employment Rights Bill, with things that are coming in with the Labour government. So I will start. So yeah, supporting menopause at work. Just go through that. There we go. So menopause and perimenopause shouldn't be taboo subjects, and I know depending on your workplace it can be quite challenging, particularly if you don't have many women of menopausal age, but I do find, everybody's got or has had a mum, a daughter, a partner. Everyone will know someone who's experiencing the menopause. So I do feel that everybody can relate to that. As I say, it shouldn't be a taboo subject, and everyone should feel that they can have a conversation with their line manager, especially when they need guidance and advice. It's a natural stage of life, and it's experienced by around half of the workforce at some point. And many employees with menopausal symptoms, it can be so severe and they feel that they have to suffer in silence because they don't feel comfortable talking either to their line manager or anyone else in the business about it. Menopause can include, obviously, you've got perimenopause, postmenopause, and everyone can be affected in different ways. Lack of support for employees experiencing perimenopause and menopause symptoms can result in resignations if they do not feel supported, and this can be detrimental for an organisation, particularly losing the best people from your team because they weren't given an ear to listen or support isn't great for the business. And I think it's important that organisations see the benefit of supporting employees through this process. So February 2024, the Equality and Human Rights Commission highlighted that menopause symptoms could be defined as a disability, and as such an employer would be under a legal obligation to make reasonable adjustments. They would also be under a legal obligation to not directly or indirectly discriminate because of the disability or subject the woman to discrimination arising from the disability. So, as I said, currently the law regarding menopause in the workplace and how companies can support it is very much evolving. There isn't necessarily anything set in law as yet, but it's definitely on the pipeline. The previous Conservative government had looked at menopause champions, but unfortunately that kind of went by the wayside a bit, so it's trying to bring that back into the fore, and whether or not, like I say, I don't know at the moment how Labour will view that. They did have a House of Commons Women and Equalities Committee who published a report last year noting that a lack of support for menopause was pushing women out of work, and they did create a list of recommendations to the government. Among those recommendations was for the government to work to formulate a specific menopause leave policy and protections for menopause as a protected characteristic within the Equality Act. And for our own customers, and kind of rolling going forward, we have included a menopause policy within staff handbooks, and we do offer kind of support and training if anyone's interested and would like some more information. With the recent Supreme Court ruling regarding kind of gender and the definition of women, that won't really have any impact in this because that's very much looking at female centered spaces. It isn't necessarily looking at anything outside of that, so I don't think that will make any changes from that aspect. So as I said, although specifically menopause isn't covered under legislation, there is legislation around it that you need to be aware of, and protections for employees. So employers are protected under the Equality Act, and that's from discrimination based on protected characteristics. So that's kind of sex, age, disability, ethnicity. So menopause could kind of merge into that in various ways. So you've got sex discrimination. As menopause only affects people assigned female at birth, individuals going through the menopause could argue that they're experiencing discrimination based on sex if they're not being supported at work. There's the aspect of age discrimination. So the menopause typically, but not always, but it typically occurs during middle age. So employees might face discrimination on grounds of age if they feel they're treated unfairly, or if they're, say, passed over for promotion due to their age or menopausal status. There's also the characteristic of disability. If menopause symptoms are severe enough to have a long-term substantial impact on a person's ability to carry out their normal day-to-day activities, and it's that wording, particularly under the Equality Act and disability, if it's a long-term kind of day-to-day substantial impact, then it's considered as a disability. So we're looking, hot flushes, memory problems, brain fog, fatigue, and if that's impacting someone's life substantially, then it is a disability. So they would be entitled to reasonable adjustments under the Equality Act and support from their employer. So as an employee, the onus is still on them to kind of help themselves as well. They need to be able to prioritise their personal health and well-being. If they're struggling, they need to feel comfortable and be able to talk to someone about it, be it their line manager, HR, anyone in the business that could be managed. Which is why it's really important that businesses are educated and have an understanding about the menopause, so employees don't suffer in silence. So physical symptoms, and these aren't kind of limited. So it could be hot flushes, insomnia, fatigue, headaches, skin irritation, urinary problems, night sweats, weight gain, muscle and joint symptoms. There's also mental health implications. Again, we're looking at depression, anxiety, panic attacks, mood swings, irritability, brain fog, and a loss of confidence as well. So responsibilities from employers, colleagues, your friends at work. It's looking at supporting colleagues, being approachable, so that there are policies in place and people have been educated to understand menopause and how to support staff and other employees. It's also looking at workplace adjustments where possible. Someone would prefer to sit next to a window, the appropriate toilet facilities. It doesn't have to be, big and varied, and companies shouldn't be scared to think that, this is going to have an impact on them. It can be very minor things, making sure there's water stations, things like that. Like I say, reasonable adjustments, sick leave and pay. You don't have to offer, if your company doesn't offer that company pay, that's fine, but just making sure people are aware that that's there for them. Looking at occupational health if you need to, getting a more expert view on it. If your company offers employment assistance programs, and that's great, because they can be out there finding someone for the employee to talk to if there isn't someone within the company necessarily appropriate. And as I say, it's workplace policies, having policies in place and making people aware, and it's the awareness and being able to talk about it. So as I said, at THSP, we're happy to support and provide guidance to companies regarding this, and how they support employees with perimenopause and menopause. We've started including and we've drafted policies and guidance. We have toolkits available, looking at risk assessments and looking at reasonable adjustments and how to have those conversations with staff. As I appreciate it can be kind of a bit unsettling on both sides. People aren't always comfortable about talking. We offer some e-learning training. I think it's about a 30-minute online training, and I think it's a really good kind of basic starting place for employers and line managers to understand and how to start those conversations and how to support employees. These are some useful links. Like I said, the NHS provides some guidance. There's Bupa's Health Hub. I know some people might know about this, the menopause doctor, it's Dr. Newman. So it is very much a current topic, and it's a really important topic that I think importantly businesses are taking on and getting a better understanding. As I said, yeah, we do offer some e-learning. It's a 30-minute online course which provides guidance on employees. It can be done annually and it provides a certificate as well. So you've got kind of proof that you've understood the training in place. Does anyone have any questions? No? So as I said, on our portal for our customers, My THSP, we have the policy available. It's available in handbooks, and we have the toolkits available and some managers guidance as well. There is a huge amount out there as well, kind of in the media, and for companies on how to guide them. And like I said, it is definitely going to be progressing. I'm just talking straight to you, Kirsty. It's fine. It's better than I'm not talking to myself, so it's all good. So yeah, it's like I said, I can appreciate it's probably quite a hard topic, and I don't want to kind of be rude here, but I guess if you're talking to a room full of men, and for some companies, the one person it could be affect could be the one lady that works in the office. So it's going to be quite difficult to start those conversations. And I know from my experience, when I have conversations with people, there does tend to be a lot of eye rolling, and it's kind of how to change the kind of the language and educate so people can understand, just because this has been happening to women for hundreds of thousands of years and women just had to get on with it doesn't necessarily mean it's right. And companies don't want to be losing people from the workforce because they didn't support them. So it's just, I think it's really important. So did you have any questions, Kirsty? Put you on the spot. But yeah, I think, like I said, everything's available on My THSP. If you've got any questions, I think you probably have my email as well. And I think we've put the recordings out there as well, and things go out on LinkedIn. So yeah, but yeah, any questions, we're always about to help. But thank you. Yeah, thanks for coming. No, it's great. Thanks for having me. Okay. Have a good day, everyone.